All right, picture this for a second. We're in a massive, neon-lit transit terminal right on the edge of what we'll call the inner grid. Imagine two observers, let's call them Alpha and Beta, monitoring this flickering holographic data stream. This stream, it actually represents human souls on a journey to a remote sanctuary. Suddenly, a synchronization report flashes up. System failure. A staggering 90% of travelers are dropping out before ever reaching the source. Now, I know, that sounds exactly like the opening scene of a blockbuster sci-fi movie, right? But honestly, it's not. This exact system failure is actually the underlying premise of some of the most profound spiritual teachings in human history.
Think about your own life for a minute. Are you endlessly searching the external network of the world just waiting for a signal of happiness? Maybe a promotion, the perfect relationship, or just some social validation? Well, today, in this explainer, we're diving into a curated collection of deep spiritual parables, and they reveal a pretty startling truth about human nature. The ultimate destination we're all exhausting ourselves trying to find, it might not be a place we travel to at all, but rather a frequency we tune into.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, 1 out of 10. So to understand this massive dropout rate, our source text tells this incredible ancient story. Imagine 10 high-potential candidates sent out to initialize a new outpost. This journey is a really steep climb. Almost immediately, the first candidate drops off at the very first terminal. Why? Because he found a high-yield investment and a comfortable partnership. He figured the source could wait because he'd already found his version of paradise. Then another one bails to take a quote-unquote prestige position, basically just for the royal honors and zero actual work. They just keep falling away, one by one. The final candidate gets literally 10 miles from the goal, but he gets locked in a terminal debate with a skeptic. He completely chooses his own ego, his need to prove the goal, over actually making the journey. In the end, out of 10, only one actually arrives.
This immense selective pressure mirrors what the source text brilliantly calls the fishing net algorithm. As the quote says, the net collects millions, but only the ready are chosen. The net scoops up millions of data points from the vast ocean of the mundane world. But the system, it only keeps the edible ones, the ones with true internal loyalty to the journey. The rest are literally just tossed back into the ocean to be recycled through more cycles of existence all over again.
Moving right along to Section 2, the musk deer's search.
So you gotta wonder, why exactly is the failure rate so ridiculously high? Well, the text identifies this as the musk deer glitch. There's this wisdom from the poet Kabir: the musk is in the navel. See, a Kasturi Mig, or musk deer, is driven absolutely mad by this incredible scent of joy, a real hint of the divine. It sprints frantically through the forest, hunting everywhere for the source of that scent, completely unaware that the musk is actually coming from right inside its own core, its own navel.
So, the crucial point is that we are all experiencing this musk deer glitch. We catch a tiny hint of a divine frequency, right? But we immediately assume it's an external signal. We think it's coming from a romantic partner, a luxury meal, or some flashy status symbol. We literally spend lifetimes running around hunting the forest of the world for external joys, totally missing the fact that true reality, true happiness, originates from within our own internal focus.
Which brings us to another systemic virus in Section 3, desire for external certificates. Our obsession with external validation is honestly almost comical. The text gives us this tragicomedy of the fox and the rabbit. Imagine a fox who actually delays eating a rabbit because she feels the need to go get a certificate from the lion proving she's indeed a fox. Of course, she loses her meal in the process. It's absurd, right? But we do this. We constantly ask the external network, who am I? We wait for some verified badge from society to confirm our value, paralyzing our true nature along the way.
Just think about our modern authentication certificates. We hoard university degrees, we absolutely obsess over social media applause, and we endlessly stack up job titles and peer validation. As our source brilliantly points out, we are so incredibly busy knocking on everyone else's door asking who we are that we entirely forget to just open our own door. Let's unpack this further in Section 4, the barrier of desire and greed.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it identifies exactly what's blocking our spiritual integration. The text points to these primary viruses, known as the great blockages: Kam, which is desire; Krodh, which is anger; and Lobh, which is greed. Look at how they operate. Desire is this immense, future-oriented tension. We're never satisfied with the now because we are always waiting for an upgrade. Greed, on the other hand, is a past-oriented attachment. We cling to our accumulated data and assets, absolutely terrified of losing what we've collected.
Trapped by these viruses, we find ourselves painfully stretched. Actually, think about the number 2 for a second. There are really only 2 truly infinite things in this world: our endless dreams and desires, and the divine itself. Because we are relentlessly chasing infinite dreams, we stay perpetually poor. We're caught in this tragic loop, suspended endlessly between a past that is completely dead and a future that's really just a simulation.
So how do we escape? That leads us to Section 5, the narrow gate of the present. To break out of this tragic loop, the answer lies in what the text calls the narrow gate. And what is that? It's the exact pinpoint center of the present moment. To pass through this doorway, you literally have to be lighter than a needle's eye. You simply cannot drag the heavy, bulky luggage of your past greed or your future desires through a gateway that is this incredibly straight and precise.
Passing through requires a total system reset. Step 1, you have to let go of your grip on past accumulation. Step 2, drop those future anxieties entirely. And step 3, this is the big one. You must learn to give and distribute your energy. It's this profound paradox, really. In this spiritual economy, you only truly own what you are capable of giving away.
Let's move to Section 6, the real temple within, and see how this builds to our ultimate destination. The whole journey ends the exact moment you just stop running. If we just tilt our heads, if we simply look inward into the mirror of the heart, that long, bloody run through the forest ends in a single second. The true temple of consciousness isn't some distant transit terminal you travel to. It's the very core of who you are. Remember, the musk is already in the navel.
Which leaves us with one final ultimate question. Are you still exhausting yourself trying to build a temple outside, constantly querying the external network for a certificate of validation? Or are you finally ready to stop, breathe, and discover the absolute source that has been hiding inside you this whole time? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and as always, remember to look within.